Good. Let's see if I still know how to do this. Rettolations. Big free zone. Anybody's welcome. Not necessarily just today, but just in general. I say just in general because this will be Rettolations to come right here on the Young Suave Network. That's why I sent for those who don't know. But felt like coming on here today just because we have there's many things to touch on that we haven't touched on, in quite a while. I can't remember the last podcast that we had before last night's, which we'll get to very, very shortly. So, being that mixtape is retired, and that's kind of where you get your official league news and league happenings from, I guess you could say, the developments of the league. Why not take it into the hands of somebody who will give you the most accurate information all the time, not just sometimes, but every time. And I get it, I know one of the league slogans is facts don't live here, but hey, we're looking at, in terms of 2018 plans, which is part of the title here. I'll take it upon myself to have these maybe every Friday, but we'll see. Definitely every couple advances, somewhere around there. Still have not come up with an apt verse for this episode. So let's just begin. Let's start with what we missed. Let's talk a little bit of week 2. Can we talk a little week 2? Can we talk a little week 2? Because I'm going to. So let's go to the schedule here. And there's a lot I have planned for this. Like I said, we're going to recap last night's Simple Mathematics and the banter that ensued after. And some of which you guys may or may not have heard. I'm not sure how long the podcast ran. I haven't listened to it back, honestly, but I think we was in the party for about, I say, 2 to 3 hours. So we'll touch on some of the stuff that may or may not have gotten through to the official airwaves, and then we're going to go to week 2 now, and we'll look at week 3. There's a couple games going on. Vic right now is in a game with Reggie. Reggie seems to have found his footing after, Vic initially got out 10-0. I think it's 14-10. Reggie's up now. David looks to be handling his business against the Colts. That was kind of foreseen anyway. And we've had some games today and yesterday that were decent. I did not see C's beating Chris. I actually didn't see the game, not saying that he couldn't beat him, but I'm saying, I didn't see the game personally. I'm not sure if maybe it was this morning before I woke up. That's huge for him, though. 3-0 start. Beat the guy that is the guy in that division. So I'm pretty sure that bodes well for his confidence. Chris, meanwhile, remember, Chris started, I believe, 2-3 last year and nearly ran the table up into the playoffs. So 1-2, it would be would trigger an alarm signal for some teams, but for him, I don't think that's really going to be the case. B against Bean, kind of, same thing, different day, or different week rather. B puts up a lot of offense. Bean gives up a lot of points. He puts up good offensive numbers, but usually that comes at the expense of turnovers and giving up a lot on the defensive end. So got a little rookie quarterback, so we'll see how that keeps going. Actually, let's look at this rookie. So yeah, look at the box score. B jumps out pretty quickly. Nothing that, look at that. Wow. Whoa, wait. If I have a pet peeve, I have several. we'll talk about a couple shortly. If I have a pet peeve, it is excessive turnovers. 10 in a game. We gotta examine this. See, this is what you're not going to get throughout the league. You're not going to get the fine details. Like, we're going to examine every minutia of the league, the key games, and we're going to tell it like it is, one way or another. If I gotta be up here solo every week, that's fine too. Apparently, I need to remind those that I indeed have a voice, depending on who you are. So, let's look at this. Alright, so the rookie, I was just talking about him. 1 touchdown, 6 picks, 9 for 20. Then, the ageless Tom Brady comes in relief, apparently. 4 picks, 2 completions out of 10 tries. And this is kind of the usual, though. Bean has always had a good running game. He's had a pretty good running game throughout. B's running game isn't heavily emphasized that much relative to his passing game. It just is what it is. But back to these turnovers. You cannot. I repeat, you cannot. There is no rhyme, reason, acceptable way, rationality, excuse, anything that warrants throwing 10 interceptions. Nick's 2, Davis 2, Shazier 2, surprised didn't have 5, Burns 2, Wilcox 1, Bud Dupree 1. I mean, and Bean had one with his linebacker. 10 in a game? One game? Let's move on, because wow, 10 picks. I mean, come on, man. We got everybody. I mean, that's crazy. Last time I saw, well, it wasn't that long ago, but that's a lot of picks. Then you had the game today, or another game today rather. Bills against Jets. Nick hosting Mays, man. Nick had some opportunities. If you didn't see the game, Nick's defense was playing about as well as you could play against, or as they could play against Mays. Got 4 picks, I believe. Yeah, 4 picks off of Tyrod Taylor. 2 of which, could have been returned. I'm not sure what happened with the camera or anything like that, but definitely he had one on this one play. I'm not going to say what coverage it was. I don't want to put his game plans out there, but he played it nicely. He knew exactly where the play was going, and I thought it was going to be a pick 6. And I don't know. I guess like that camera shifted something crazy. Maybe that got to him. But even without all that, Nick had some chances. He had some chances. Like, he loses the game by a touchdown. Late, he's driving. It's 20-17. Mays is up. Nick's driving, and he's in Mays territory. And it's a first down. He calls the screen to the left. He doesn't get the ball off though. Fumbles. Mays, one of his big boys off the D-line, picks it up and runs it in. Touchdown. Game over. But that was the story of the entire game. Nick played more than well enough to win. Mays did not have a particularly good showing. His running back is, that boy, a tank, though. He breaks so many tackles I haven't seen. Look at that, 10 broken tackles. If you think I'm lying, there it is. But yeah, Nick was in Mays territory several times, and whether it would be like a sack on third down that takes him out of field goal range, or the interceptions late, he just has to get better in that regard. Like, when there's an opportunity for points, especially in a game that was as close to something like that, you gotta find ways to get your points. That's something I learned even last year. Like, I in several respects, I kind of overcompensated on the offensive end, because I knew that the defense that I picked, it was my mistake. Picked the 4-3 defense, and it didn't really work out well for me until late in the season, probably like 12. Yeah, about 11 to 12 games in. But if there's a moral of the story, is take your points. Actually, there's the verse. Make your points and take your points. Make your points and take your points. So, yeah, when you're down there, no, nothing stupid. Don't. If you have guaranteed points, sometimes you need to lay off the aggressive button, not figuratively speaking, not the setting on the game, but figuratively speaking, lay off the aggressive button and ensure that you're going to come away with something. Touchdown is nice, but a field goal, especially if this happens multiple times, ain't gonna hurt you too bad. It's better than coming away with a turnover or a punt, because you get sacked on third down or something like that. But yeah, so I'm gonna take my points. I'm also gonna make them. So let's go back to the schedule. Let's look at week 2, because we didn't really get a really vast recap of that. Eagles and Vikings. Sim, no need to elaborate further on that. David against Jix. Looks like they played. The expected result happened. Same for Sim against Chris. Will against JR. I saw a little bit of this, and JR, he had a good draft. Excuse me, I can't lie. He had a pretty good draft. The linebacker, CJ Todd, that was a good pick. I probably would have took him had he fell to 19, but be as it may, ended up in a good spot. But Will, 35 points, that's not bad considering. He's had games where it's been, and you see this, Davis Webb, 401 passing yards. He's had games where you score 2 or 6 or 3, or even 0 on the offensive end. So, maybe he can do something with that and take it and keep lighting up the scoreboard. But yeah, I guess again that's kind of what you expect in that contest. JR comes out with a win, probably a little closer than it should have been, but then again, I didn't see the game, so that could just be the box score talking. Danyo, Jeremy, they didn't play. Jose against Bean. We talked a little bit about Bean earlier, so I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Jose, though, last night, and this is the thing. Jose, to me, has underachieved. Let's call it what it is. And last night, I said flat out on the podcast, he got to step it up. And I believe he does. And we'll look here. Okay, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's a solid game right there. Completion percentage about 73, so not bad. And okay, rushing is what it is. But yeah, going back to Jose, depending on how much you want to think, because thinking is a choice. It's not really like, it's not like breathing where you breathe kind of, it just happens. It's second nature, or it's nature period for you to breathe. But thinking is optional at certain points. So when I say Jose needs to step it up, it wasn't because I was prompted by Twan. I don't necessarily think Jose's trash. I just think he's underachieved, and that's just what it is. So for those who may have thought, I'm only prompted by, somebody to say something. Not the case, but again, we'll get back to that. This game, my game, played the computer, was what it was. Bengals Titans, C's, man. I don't know if Mark played or not sure, but C's off to a really good start. He's off to a pretty good start. Speedy and Jesus, kind of expect that. Speedy has bits and pieces of potential. Just has to put it. He turns the ball over too much. That's about 80-90% of the league. Goff, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. When I played him, think it was no touchdowns, 5 picks. But look at then his Cohen. I guess that's his backup. Came in and did pretty good, but just get yourself in a hole with them turnovers, man, and it's hard to get out, especially when you're playing a good player, not to mention a guy who has a perfect passer rating against you, like Jesus did. But personally, to me, Speedy runs too much of his offense out of Todd Gurley. I mean, if it's not the running plays, it's the checkdowns, and they're good to a certain extent, but I mean, when you know it's coming, you just know it's coming. Vic against Dez. Crazy game. Vic, man, man, that was some game. It had some wild stuff going on, and just about all of it seems to go in the favor of Vic. 4th down, it's a tip pass. His receiver catches it to keep a drive going late in the game. Dez, tried responding on offense with his receiver, who had like 3 touchdowns, and then gets back on the defensive side, and Trubisky dodges an animation occurs where Trubisky dodges like a Derek Wolfe, what would have been a Derek Wolfe sack, and Vic throws the first down. That's the ball game. We kind of touched on it yesterday. I don't know if it was on the official airwaves. I saw the podcast, Twan's podcast, ended after an hour and a half roughly. But man, I'm limited, and it's not really sim per se. But if I could be the one to present that, and it would just go on deaf ears. But it kind of says what it is. Like Vic, you just gotta expect the same 2 or 3 things, but it's wild. I mean, but if you catch on, you're gonna blow them out. And I just didn't think Daz caught on quick enough or well enough. JT against Kerm. Can we please stop? See, this is the thing. Y'all will be deaf to factual information, but in the same breath, hype up something that never warranted such. Kerm is a prime example. Every single season, we go through the same song, rhyme and dance every single season. Every single season. When will y'all understand? Kerm's just not good. He hasn't been good. He's not going to be good. Man, look. Have I not said this phrase for the past 2 years? And here it comes. If we're going to talk about it, let's be real about it. Don't come on the airwaves if you're not going to be real about it. Don't respond to anything that comes on the airwaves if you're going to misinterpret it and therefore not be real about it. Certainly don't come on a Rettolations thinking you're going to do that. Anybody. But let's call it what it is, man. Kerm, he ain't it. He ain't it. He ain't it. Y'all thought because mixtape went away, the division was all of a sudden Kerm's? Had y'all not forgot that JT is better than Kerm? Minus that one time they played 2 years ago. But outside of that, Kerm has been outclassed by JT. Look at this. I mean, it don't matter who your quarterback is. You can hold Steph on the block till I'm 100. And it just doesn't matter if this is what you're going to do. 17 for 31. 4 picks, no touchdowns. How do you expect to win when you throw 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns? Constantly. But y'all be quick to tell it. Y'all be real quick. Oh, Kerm back to run his division. Oh, Kerm, let's go Kerm. This time for you to make a playoff push. Be real. Be real. Before I don't need to get back to that game. Let's just look. I remember it wasn't too long ago. Mixtape was like, Kerm's gonna make a push for the playoffs. 2 weeks in, he's been bludgeoned twice. And even with that not being the case, Kerm in playoffs, unless he won that division, which it doesn't look likely because he can't beat JT. JT's going to play mighty bad against the rest of his schedule in order for Kerm to win that division. I was saying this last night. Pardon me. I was saying this last night. Vic might split the season series with Kerm. Let's be real. Let's be real. What have you seen from Kerm? Please, if anybody watches this, please come back and answer me after you watch it. What have you seen from Kerm? Seven people he's not better than. David, this is the NFC. David, Jinx is a push because Jinx really had that game in Detroit last season against Kerm, but his management was god awful. Jinx is a push, David's a certainty, JR's a certainty, Jeremy's a certainty. I'd even say Daniel's a certainty. I'm a certainty, Manny's a certainty. Jesus is, Speedy's not. Vic isn't better than Kerm, but Vic is going to. I think Vic might split the season series with Kerm. JT is, and that's that right there. That doesn't speak playoffs to me. And I didn't even mention just the whole league. Something y'all just gotta cut out, man. Like, I mean, come on, man. It makes no sense for this narrative and this hype train to still be running. But again, facts don't live here. Chiefs Raiders typically happens, is what it is. Browns Seahawks. Now I know this got on the airwaves last night, so I'm gonna say it again. Phil, for him to be an above average player, might beat himself more than any other above average player based off what I've seen this Madden cycle. Look at the numbers. Like, Kaiser for 13 of 20, 65, 292. Okay, you know, good quarterback rating. Good game. You know, that's a solid game right there. But can you really tell me that if Phil doesn't throw 2 picks with Wilson, 2 picks with his backup, combined 10 for 19, that's barely 50%. That's barely over 50%. You can't tell me that he didn't have a great shot to win that game if he just don't turn the ball over. If he eliminates the turnovers, you know, if Phil could eliminate his turnovers, he'd probably be in the Super Bowl. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. Because Phil has the best personnel to match David, just off a personnel versus personnel standpoint. Defensively, his versus David's offense, and it's Seattle. Like, of course, you know, like, duh, it's Seattle. But man, offensively, it just unravels. Like, if the running game ain't hitting like the way it should be hitting, it unravels, man. Like, I saw the game last season against Manny. I'm watching, you know, looking for a glimmer of hope to remain in the playoff picture, and he went on through 5 picks. Now, the thing with that game was I think he was still in it for much of the time because Manny had, you know, his own turnovers. But, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. Like, you're either going to get a Phil that can stand toe-to-toe with the top guys of the league, or you're going to get a guy that just blows it and could lose at a second's notice off of like a 5 interception game. Moving on from that, Reggie against B, that was another game. B got off to a hot start. Man, it was like Reggie and them boys, the Chargers, they didn't wake up till like the third quarter, like late third quarter. He got it to like 31-17 at one point. He had been down 31-3, but you know, B persevered, held on, got the victory. Touched a little bit on B. Reggie, well, I'll say that for the next little segment. Mays Tone, man, man, I didn't see the game. So I can't really say Tone typically starts out well against Mays. That didn't look like it was the case this time around. Mays usually comes on and when he gets going, it doesn't usually end well for Tone. At least as of late, I know Tone has a victory or two. I think a couple victories. Excuse me, over Mays this Madden cycle, but I mean, Mays looked like he just did basically what he wanted to. Yeah, this Washington, that pass rush for Mays, boys, man, third downs, it's crazy. It's crazy. Third downs, like, I remember watching the game against Nick today, like, one of his guys just ran over, like, literally just bulldozed the left tackle and got him for the sack. Yeah, that's that. We'll keep an eye on Mays, though. He started off okay. I still kind of think that it looks like today's game against Nick. It kind of looked like a continuation of the Super Bowl in a sense. So I have to see how he manages that quote unquote hangover throughout the rest of the season. Then he had Colts and Jets. Looked like the Colts played a good game. I saw one of those plays. Something wild happened, but. Yeah, just more the same around the league. So that was week 2. I guess we'll get back to week 3. Like I said, there's a couple games going on, both of which appear to be over. Reg's up 45-17 over Vic, and last I checked the David game against Colts, it was like I think 23-7 or something like that, or 23-0. So let's do this. Let's go play a little game. I'm gonna go through each team in this league, and I'm gonna tell you what I think about them. And I kind of spoiled it with the week 2 recap with some players, but let's go ahead. We'll start right here. Actually, no, let's mix it up. Let's go by road losses, just because. Speedy does not have a bad user on defense. He doesn't. His personnel is actually pretty good on defense. He just can't get out of his own way. Nick gotta step up when it's time to convert, you gotta convert. When it's time to convert, you have to convert. You have to. His game management, if it's like a tick better, I think he'd be good. He'd be pretty decent in that regard. But again, in that sense, he has to just. I think it's more of a play calling issue with Nick. Bilbo actually been giving guys some pretty. He starts off not bad. He actually starts off pretty well, and then it's a marathon. It's not no sprint. Ain't no sprint at all. So he has to learn how to sustain that for the full 4 quarters, and he'll be okay. And also goes without saying. But he's learning how to quarterback. So maybe it should remain without saying. Dez, we just waiting, man. We waiting to see the full thing. Like what I see in Fish Market when you got Minnesota relative to what I see here with Denver. We waiting for that, man. The streets need that. let's keep it a buck. Streets need you to be out here lose to. We want to see some people lose to you so we can see why. Colts, don't know much about them. Vikings, same thing. Saw a little bit of the JT game. Doesn't appear as though he'll continue the Minnesota success that was established the first 2 seasons of this cycle. Tone, good player. But can you crack the top 6? And after that, then what? So it's like Tone is like but you're good, but we need more. I don't know if trading McMillan was the best idea, but then again, I didn't have him, and I don't know what you got back for him. I don't know what those draft picks turned into, so who am I to judge? Jesus, another good player. I have to say, last couple Maddens,
Well, he was Dallas last year, and he was somebody. The Bengals the year before that made a Super Bowl with Cincinnati, season 1, Madden 16, and then of course was the Giants his first year here. But this is probably the best Jesus I've seen since that Super Bowl season. Well, the Super Bowl appearance he had in Madden 16. And if you want to go further beyond and say his Super Bowl season in Madden 15, go right ahead. They're within the same calendar year. So best Jesus I've seen since 2015. And yeah, he'll be right there battling for the division. Good player, you know, tough to stop. I mean, running attack is Dolphins are 5. Hey, shout out to Maze, man. Hey, Maze. Well, we'll get back to it, but Maze chimes in. Dolphins are 5 stars of shit. Oh man, hey, based off that 44-14, who might argue? But Jesus, that's a good player. Jix has potential. He had a hell of a free agency. But is he gonna really be here to capitalize off that momentum he had from the offseason? Got a nice quarterback, so he should stay excited. Had a good game, then had 2 bad ones. Stay tuned. 49 to 130 in terms of your points allowed ratio. Yeah, don't know. Twan, good player. I don't understand where Twan's where his premise from, based on the fact of people like I didn't know people had made like these disparaging comments about his game the other day, so I was a little lost in that regard. But be as it may, he good player. 2-0. Kaiser still needs to throw more touchdowns and interceptions over a season. We haven't seen that yet. So I think it was like 17 to 18 touchdown pick ratio year 1. Got to the Super Bowl though, so hey. And then last year, 23-27. I mean, if this is truly dynamic offense, we need to see I need to at least see 25-10. And that's ground floor. That's ground level. But hey, 2-0, and he plays Mark this weekend, so we'll see. Mays 3-0. Tough game today. Yeah, them receivers, it's always a problem. It's always a problem because no matter how the game may be going, Tyrod still fast enough to impact the game with his legs and his arm. That running game, that running back is going to be good. And the receivers are there. And then the defense, the pass rush, which probably lead to more turnovers. What can you say? That's a good formula. That's good, and that's solid in all aspects of the game, really. B, fast start. Don't remember exactly who he's played. I know I was just talking about it a minute ago, but Reggie, and then he played Bean, and he played somebody week 1. But that's a good start. We'll see. Dobbs is looking probably the best he's looked all season. If he can just keep the interceptions down, and I've always said also B turns the ball. For him to be a good player, B is like Phil but better in my opinion, because I think B's better skill wise and tactically than Phil, but that same problem of the turnovers comes to the forefront when you talk about B. If he can limit the turnovers, he's gonna be a factor in the AFC playoffs. Jeremy, if Jeremy's results reflected more of his acumen as far as football goes, we'd be talking about a guy that is a playoff threat every year. As it is, he's like a notch under a playoff level team. So it's like that gray area. Like he's not a bad player, but can you really say he's in that upper echelon? Like he's like in that. If the upper echelon had a waiting room, Jeremy would be in it. That's probably the best way I could put it. Like, I mean, losses to, just going off of last season, to Will and Speedy, that's unacceptable. For you to be, a pretty good player, that's unacceptable. I play Jeremy next, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. And it'll be a fun game. It's always fun playing against Jerem, but yeah, it's like a ceiling that he's like close to, but needs to actually like, raise his hand up and break through it, and then we might see him possibly in a playoff game. JR, good player. So given he's going to win his division, so playoff spots already locked up. Anything, I mean, he can go 7-9 and get in the playoffs. So he's good. We saw, the playoffs. He got to the NFC Championship last year? No. Or did he? Who did David beat to get to the Super Bowl last year? I think it was JR. Yeah, because JR beat Jesus. Yeah, so got to the NFC title game last year. Again, he got all the tools. That offensive line is crazy. He don't have to do a whole bunch that's like fancy. I mean, just beat the defense up. That's it. And he got the defense. He has defense himself to, to constantly be a threat. Because we know the rest of the NFC East isn't a threat to him. Jose touched on him earlier. Sees great start. Can he keep it up? That spread is looking like it was a fruitful. It's paying fruitful dividends so far. So, we'll see what happens. That fits him pretty well though. Had a huge win today against Chris, so that's good. Myself, back to normal, man. Like I didn't pick that 4-3 kill would have been. I think I'm easily in the playoffs. I know I'm easily in the playoffs last year, but again, that's my fault. I should just stick to the script sometimes. Stick to the script. I had no reason to go 4-3. I literally just picked the controller to play David week 1 and decided, hey, I'm gonna try something new, and things usually like that don't work out too well. But that was last year, and we're in the here and now, and I'm feeling good. Defense, we solidified a couple positions that we needed, got depth again. Offense is what it is. Like I said, they said I couldn't pass, and I had the best season I ever had last season, passing wise. But it came with the expense of running the ball the way I would like to. So we're back to a little balance. So got Jeremy next. We'll see what happens. JT, I think I touched on him earlier. The North should be his. I mean, there's no threat. That should be 6 easy wins. His trickiest games are going to come against Vitt. Like I was saying, like his trickiest games, Kerm, we know what's going to happen. We know what Kerm is. Vikings, we don't know yet. But, I mean, if he's losing by 50 or borderline by 50 points in his first game against JT, we can kind of expect, that it's going to be JT's division. So, he'll be in the playoffs, probably the 4th seed if I had to guess. But, hey. As long as he doesn't just implode himself, he'll be okay. Got a little offense, a little defense too. David, reigning Super Bowl champion. This is what I could say. Having played him twice a year, every year, played him 3 times the first year with the playoff game. David's a good player. David is a good player with a great equalizer. The greatest difference maker, maybe in the history of this league. He just might be. And that equalizer is his ability to generate the turnover. Like when you look at David's offense, you know he can run the ball well. He makes pretty sound decisions passing the ball. It's not necessarily we're looking at like when you think David's passing game, you don't think Chris' passing game per se. But he's going to make the right play more times than not. And he runs the ball pretty well. But that defense, man, like them turnovers, the interceptions, and even the fumbles too. Like that is the ultimate equalizer. If you don't believe me, this wasn't on Twan's podcast last night, I don't think, but I can tell you, go back and look at my games against David. Go back and look at them. And throughout the totality of the minutes that we play in Madden against each other, I would contend to you that I have led more minutes in those games than he has. But, again, This is to show you or to articulate to you the power of this great equalizer. Couple fumbles happened the last time we played. He turns them into 14 points. So you have a game that looks like 35-14 when, the offense doesn't have to work as hard because the defense is generating, almost half of the points. And that's not a knock. I commend it, honestly. Like, that's what's killed me every time we've played those guys. Fourth quarter, the very first time we played, it was like a 2-point game or a 1-point game. Cam fumbles on the slide attempt. David goes to score, I think, and then he gets another pick, and that was that. Second time we played, he was playing the backups. I had to win to get in the playoffs. I did just that. I got in. Then we played him again in the second round of those playoffs, and again, we 3 quarters in, and I'm up like 24-21. He goes, 28-24. We right there. Like, it's right there. And that fourth quarter, though, is, for me at least, I can't say the rest of the league, but for myself, we got to manage the fourth quarter better. And I said all this last night, but I don't think it got on the airwaves, so this ain't even a case of somebody like bringing it to the forefront and me readdressing it. This is what I've been saying the whole entire time. We manage that fourth quarter, we're going to be in some positions to win. You look at the week 1 last season, right there. Cam misses a corner route to Samuel that I think would have gone for 6. We were down 1 point or 2 points. And then he fumbles throwing the ball. Dave runs it in for the score. It is what it is. Like, give the man credit. That defense, not only the personnel, but his defensive, his game, his skill defensively is good. It's good. He's a good player. I think I'm right there with him, but he's a good player. Flash is good. Let me say that. Flash is good, but I think out of all the players that are good, or out of most of them rather, I think Flash, if certain things aren't hitting, I'm interested to see how he goes off of that. Like for example, if the deep ball doesn't hit, right? Let's say, I mean, now you can always use Conley and Hill and those guys kind of underneath. Let's just say his forte, his bread and butter, and jelly. Let's say the deep ball ain't really hitting like that. I need to see something out of his running game that's going to make me believe, like, hey, you can take this formula that you have and parlay it into a Super Bowl run here. Defense, he's solid. He's good. He's solid defensively. But I just think it's like them old Colts teams, kind of, in real life. The Peyton Manning, like early 2000s. If you stop that passing game, you probably in good shape. But I have to see more. I have to see more from him. I have to see him play some guys that I can't look at him playing divisional games unless it's Reggie. Then I got to take in the other parts of his schedule. So the games against Dez, the games against Bilbo that kind of boost the numbers. You gotta look beyond that a little bit, and that's what I'm all about. But he's a good player though. Just need to see more. Reg, good player, another good player. I mean, that division's him and Flash every single time. Reg is like, and he can do it running the ball. He can do it passing the ball. But Reg is almost like, Reg's untouchable in a sense. In a sense that if I told you these things, they'll be dismissed or they'll be labeled as kind of, they won't even be labeled as anything. They'll just be kind of dismissed or forgotten about until somebody else who I guess is more receptive to the audience makes the same points or tries to make different points about the same things. Reg though, will tell like it is, and even if it's something that's sketchy, you don't really hear like a whole bunch of backlash in his direction. That has nothing to do with him as a player, though. He's a good player. Like he knows what he's doing offensively. I'm not gonna lie. Last Madden 17. I would examine how he was like passing the ball, and I'd be like, damn, like, you know, like it looked almost like a bit of a rocket science, just because I wasn't really inclined on passing the ball like that. Could have been the backup quarterback situation, whatever. But having walked the season in his shoes passing the ball, I'm like, it's so easy. It's so easy. So and Reds typically makes it look easy. Just amazing how easy it is when you actually take the same things he takes into account and put them on the field. Like, it's a good strategy. If more people watch the things that he did and, you know, try to build upon them, more people will be in better shape. Manny, he hasn't played this season. But this is mighty interesting. Manny made the playoffs last year and played JR in the wild card round and didn't advance, which, you know, is what it is. Manny is... I feel like Manny's mind overcompensates for what needs to be done. And defensively, I've always thought that. Offensively, he's tried to, you know, get a running game going and change the label and change the narrative of his passing, you know, troubles, I guess you could say, at certain points. But I just think, like, when he's backed against the wall, I think the regular Manny tendencies of being pass oriented are going to come out. And the game done changed since, he'll tell you this too, the game done changed since that was like really hitting on something. Like, it's really changed. And until he changes it enough to where he can still do that, or he can do it but in a way that correlates with these current iterations of Madden, I don't know. He's tactically good, but I think he overthinks it a lot. I also think he takes my comments out of context completely, and we're going to talk about that right now. So, last night on the podcast, and again, I'm just telling it like it is. Anybody can join me for this. I'm going to say the same thing no matter who here. Last night on the podcast, Twan talks, he gives his opening statements, right? Says he's going 16-0. Me and Dez, but I'm going to speak for me. Me and Dez are there, but I'm listening because I don't really give a damn if Twan goes 16-0 or 2-14. I'm not on his schedule. What do I care? So I'm just letting him talk. He's drunk too, so that's always fun for the league. So I'm letting him have his fun. Like, we kicking back, chilling. I'm just chilling, listening. Says he's going 16-0. Yada yada yada. Cool. Says later, a few minutes later, that I forget the names. I know it was one of them. Looked up to Manny. At which point I say, wait a minute. I don't look up. Like, what? Like, see, and that's another thing. This is how all this started. Off of a false narrative. Typical, right? It usually involves me. But I digress. Not really. But anyway, I say, Manny's a guy who I have known I know him in a Madden sense. He takes it as a shot. Nigga, it's not a shot. First off, now if you want to misinterpret my comments a certain way, fine, go ahead. I ain't even gonna combat that no more. It happens too much for me to do so. You know that. But I'm gonna say, I know the ins and outs of Manny, as does he about me. Did I not say vice versa? I then later in the same sentence or the same paragraph indicate, I'm like, for goodness, we ran roughshod through the league for 2 full cycles. One in the AFC that did it passing, one in the NFC that did it with running. Did I not say that? Yes or no? And I don't know what I said after that. It really wasn't nothing disparaging because it had nothing to do with me. I'm combating the fact that I don't look up to anybody in this Madden or any Madden. All that was to say yesterday was to say that whoever, I would have been doing my thing regardless of who I was fucking with, regardless of who was on my side on Madden. It could have been system, no system, NWO, Hounds of Justice, me by myself. It didn't matter. It still don't matter. I've been doing the same things, and for that time, for those 2 Madden cycles, it looked every bit like he would have been doing the same things too. So when I wake up and I'm like, Spliff Star, I don't listen. Spoiler alert, I have no idea who that is. Don't really care either. But I guess again, perception is a mother, man. Perception is in the ears of the beholder, just like beauty in the eye. So, all that hoopla about whatever the case was, I said nothing bad about you. Don't need to. We ain't played this Madden cycle. Doesn't look like we're going to. Fine, cool. But don't. First off, you probably knew I was going to scroll up. So, but first off, may I please ask if you're going to mention me, please at me, so it can make my scrolling up easier. I wasn't expecting to run into that, but when I saw it, I'm like, fuck is he on? Like, he's wilding, he's lunching, right? And I'm just like, sidekick. Ain't nobody's sidekick. Never have been, never will be. I've said plenty of things over these airwaves that you may not have caught, that a lot of people might not have caught. But I've said them, or is it the fact that more ears weren't inclined to hear what I had to say because there were other personalities that would say more chat-friendly things to get the pot stirring up some more. Shoot, some people say Mixtape did that all the time. Said Mixtape, I think it was Flash in particular, said Mixtape like to start things up on his podcast and whatnot. I'm not leaning one way or the other towards it. I'm just saying what's said. And you know, if Twan on the podcast, that's going to be what it's going to be. And it's usually some proclamation of being an all-galaxy player and ain't nobody better than him and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. If my factual tendencies get clouded up and all that, and you would know so because you said it yourself last time I mentioned it. When we was talking about the podcast right before your playoff game against JR, you said, Red will be sitting back. I'm paraphrasing, so please don't take this out of context. Red will be, I'm paraphrasing. Red will, be chilling, saying usually things like, yeah, that's crazy, or agreeing, that sort of thing. I'm like, well, yeah, you're right in a sense, because some of the shit is crazy. Some of it is wild. It just is. And I also said that look at who else is around me on these airwaves at the same time. And what was your reply? I can quote it verbatim. LOL, yeah, that is true. Please tell me I'm lying. Then again, you don't have to. When do I ever? But in a way, that's kind of a good thing that all this happened. Because again, I reiterated the same things this afternoon, or early this afternoon, or this morning, and the reply from yourself, Manny, was yawn.mp3, which means, which I'm going to translate, oh, I have nothing further to retort with, because I'm telling the fucking truth. Like,
Clearly. So, but it worked itself out in the sense that now I'm gonna come back on my own platform. I'm gonna remind just of how much of a voice I have. I'm going to remind just about how accurate my voice is when I use it. And if people want to twist their little narratives and go about their little prerogatives, I mean, when at me, JT, and Tone, all the same. I was the only one not present for mine. But you know, another thing I've noticed with that is it's not much to see. I can sit here and do this in these verbal. Well, it's not really verbal, but in these instances with Manny. I mean, it's others too. I'm just using his because this is the current one, and it was one at the start of the cycle too. It's always like what I present to the table will not get acknowledged accurately. But on the flip side, if he says something, you're gonna have dudes sitting back in the cut and as liking it, and I'm like, wait a minute. So everybody, so I'm the crazy one. If everybody hearing something a certain way, and I'm telling you it's not a certain way, but their side getting acknowledged and mine ain't, I must be the crazy one, right? I mean, man, it's really all fun and games. We just sitting back, shooting the shit, talking about this Madden. I happen to do it accurately. If people can't decode that accuracy, oh well. But don't think it's going to stop, because it's not. But there was no shot in that yesterday. But since it got made into something, hey, it is what it is. I don't really care. I'm good wherever. Chris, like I said, wanted to start earlier. It's not. He's not panicking. I know he's not panicking. He got the defense and all that. I had to go back and watch the C's game. I want to see how he kind of combats the spread. That'd be kind of fun to go back and generate some more facts, though they don't live here, off of. But yeah, I mean, he'll be fine. He got his quarterback now, got a slew of receivers. Fournette's still there. I couldn't do that Fournette for McCaffrey trade. I think the AFC would thank me for that. But he'll be fine, and there's absolutely no worries. He'll be right in the playoffs, in the thick of the AFC, right where he usually is. Vic, man, Vic is, when you play Vic is a 60-minute circus. Like, you know that you generally know that you're going to win. But, man, I tell you, the journey to getting to that victory is something. Oh, man, but I mean, you see like a few little plays. You see the snap the ball when the guy is still in motion. You see just the quick snap period. You see the rollouts and all that. But I don't think that'll really be brought to the forefront, because it just seems like it kind of just seems like these things just kind of go under the water. I mean, I guess because it's Vic, you know, he's not really going to make but so much noise. Maybe it does, but hell, I would love to. This is an open request to commissioners out there. It's probably going to, well, this might not work out in my favor, but this is an open request. Can I please be in charge of the rules committee? Please, listen. I was commissioner in Madden 15, right? Now, I will admit it was kind of. The perception, it's kind of tough to, it was tougher for me to kind of give out those rulings before, just getting acclimated and elevating my voice to what it is now, state my opinions on things. I'm perfectly opinionated now to be on this commissioner staff. Can I please be in charge of or have some say in the rules committee? Listen, understand this. Y'all getting assuming I were to get this spot, y'all getting the most factually inclined person in the league. Trust me when I say that. I don't be spewing no lies about this league. I don't be talking no craziness relative to this league. I'm gonna say how it is, not how people want it to be, not how people
think it is. I'm going to give you exactly what I see, and if it aligns with how others see it, cool. If it don't, even better. I wasn't made to align or be in this box with everybody else. But with that being said, you're going to get unadulterated, unbridled, pure accuracy relative to the rule book, relative to not the box score, but the stats. If I'm on here talking about the games, and not even the stats, the tendencies, what they did on this play and that play, trust me. I'm openly lobbying for a spot on this commissioner squad right now. Manny, I know you said in the other chat, you was like, this may be your last run. Can I be a replacement? Please? I mean, all BS from this morning aside, and that's what it was, BS, but all BS from this morning aside, you know good and well, if I'm in charge, especially the other rules, that we be in good hands. Now, I know I'd probably have to state these things to the league better, because I didn't do it my first time around. But give me that chance. Trust me. I can do it now. I already say things that most don't agree with anyway, or that most don't, it don't register with most, but it's always factually based. It's always accurate. It always aligns with whatever we're talking about. It always does. It always does. So I'm openly lobbying for a spot. I'll hit you up separately about it to further elaborate on how I would implement this voice. Hell, I'll announce the suspensions in the chat and on the podcast. This sounds like Diddy applying for Panthers ownership, don't it? But yeah, I'm like real talk though. The seasons 4 and 5. Let me get like a 2-year test run. Back in the commissioner squad. Watch how it shapes up. I'm looking at everything. I watch the games. I know the tendencies. I pinpoint these things. I've always been a sharpshooter. Always. So I'll come back to that when I wrap this up in a few minutes. Going to go over the 2018 plans real quick after we get through these last few teams. Phil, I told you, good personnel. He can run the ball well. Passing is hit or miss, to say the least. Lions, Kerm, please stop hyping that man up. He ain't proved nothing besides he can make some trades. He's proved nothing besides he can make trades. He has decent skill, but it's overridden by his piss poor judgment in passing situations. Piss poor judgment in passing situations. Defense, I mean, if you're giving a 49 to Jeremy, and it needs work. But y'all gotta stop hyping that man up, man. Listen. 2018, you want to know what that's the year of? That's the year of killing narratives. I know this year was, but apparently we need another year of it, so it's going to be a part 2. We're going to kill some narratives around here, man. And that one's near the top of the list. This current one is near the top of the list if it ain't at the top. Well, something about me's probably at the top because, But, yeah, that one's up there, man. That's up there. Eagles, He plays his game. He seems like he's a pretty cool guy from, having played him and interacting with him on the occasions where we do have to play. No, not a bad guy, but his Madden wheel or his Madden repertoire is really limited. Like that route tree, it's not really hitting all that well, but I think with time he'll learn to diversify a little more, and we'll see where that gets him. Not expecting much this season. Don't think anybody really is, but just needs time. It's rookie season. We've seen rookies get better. Daniel's not bad, man. I tell you, there's context and everything. Another key quote that ain't going away. Context and everything, and Daniel has a little game to him, man. Daniel has given JR a little bit of gave him some go. He gave him like a little bit of trouble in a couple games that I've seen. Now, did he ultimately win them? No, but that just goes to show Daniel's a giant killer, man. Like he can play somebody bad 1 week and be bad in playing them, and then he'll play somebody that's pretty good, and he'll give him a test. Just depends on which Daniel shows up. Had he and Jeremy played last night, I think that would have been a good game. But just consistency relative to being able to play the games, consistency in his game. That's where we draw the line. That's where we need improvement. Slim, same thing. If Slim was here more often, I think he'd be getting progressively better. I know his schedule, his life basically just doesn't allow him to always be around. But he was here for the draft, so I credit that. Slim's another one of those guys. He's like Daniel Light, in my opinion. Like he can do some things. Like remember, he had Twan. I think that first season, or maybe it was last season. I think it was that first season. He had Twan basically dead to rights, up 17-7 in Twan's territory in like the third quarter. If he scored a touchdown there, I think he wins that game. But he threw a pick and he lost. Just gotta have better judgment. Like that's what the common thing with a lot of the lesser quote unquote players. Like gotta have better judgment. Will, same thing. Not going to elaborate no further, but Will cool though. That's a cool guy, but just gotta be better. Being has some potency offensively, like I said at the top of this hour. Being has some potency on offense. Can he just stay out of his own way? And right now, it doesn't look like that's the case. But we'll see. And then Mark. Wow, how was Mark last? Mark. See, I've played against Mark I've seen Mark's development, if you want to call it that, from the time the league has started to this present moment. Mark in Madden 15, he was Tampa Bay, I was Carolina. Mark would literally run nothing but 2 men under one season. Like it's like one play defense. We know this. I'm just telling y'all facts that we already know and are willing to acknowledge. Then it was all cover 3. Then it was the edge thing. Last year, I don't know because I didn't play him. This year, he makes up a little better. He's good. He's good in a stock sense, in the sense that the adjustments I don't think are really there. Therefore, if you know how to beat certain things just off of the regular, you're gonna be in good shape. And he told you himself he don't really care about defense. So you get like 2 stops. You should be if you know what you're doing, you should be good. And that's it for all these teams. Real quick predictions, 2018 plans for this podcast, and then I'm out. Week 3, the rest of week 3, let's look at it real quick. Giants, Redskins, if they play, I got Daniel. Texans, Chiefs, we'll go with Flash. I don't simulate I don't predict my own games. Manny, Jose, if they play, that's tough. That's tough. Let me come back to that. Seahawks, Rams, man, right now, Phil's gonna win. But I'm telling you, right now, I almost don't know. Anything short of 3 picks, Phil wins. If it's 3 picks, he probably wins. If it's 4 more, we're going to have a game on our hands. I'm going to go Phil for now. Dolphins, Eagles, Tone got that. Bilbo against Dez. Dez should win. Dez, you should win. JR against JT. 2-0 versus 2-0. Out of all the games that's left, that might be the most attractive game to watch. Unless you want to watch Twan and Mark, but they played earlier, season 1. I think it was like 17-10. JR won. This game's gonna show me just how far JT's come in terms of his quarterback decision making. If he can throw 1 pick or under, he has a very good chance. We'll have to see. I'm I'm gonna go JR for now. I need to see it from JT. I know JR can do it. And that's basically where I stand on that. Vikings, Lions, Kerm. We'll hype you for this week because you should win this game. And you should win comfortably. I'll be watching. Mark Twan. I think Mark has a tactical, a skill set advantage. Maybe not skill set, but a tendency advantage. I think Twan is the better player. I think Mark does more of the effective things, though. But then again, Mark doesn't have a defense. I can rely probably more on Jabril Peppers to get a pick or something than I could anybody on Mark's team to get one. So I'll go Twan at home. Game I said I was going to come back to, Manny and Jose. This one's tough because both of them have two gears. You see, sometimes you think Jose's like top whatever. You think he's they will say that the whole Seahawks thing, sometimes you can't tell. You see that Jose playing with these guys. Other times, you don't. And it's just like, it's just bad. But his defense, and you know what, now that I mentioned, that's probably the ultimate deciding factor. That defense, Humphrey, Tavon, shout out to you, by the way. Tavon, right from across the street. I mean, we played NBA Live together in this basement. NBA Live 02, Kobe had yellow shoes. But that defense with Mosley and Clowney and all them guys, I need to see how Manny's going to run, assuming he plays, run against them for one. And if that running game ain't going, he'll be awfully smart with that football. And I have to see how that happens because it's probably the best defense he's played. Best defense plus defensive user outside of David that he's probably played this cycle. So I'm going to go Jose for now. That's out on week 3. And plans for these Rettolations, we're going to have these we're going to do it once a week. We're going to do it once a week. And whether I'm solo, whether there's people in the building, anybody's welcome. Anybody's welcome. We can always talk about it. Just if you talk about it, be real about it. Be real about it on these airways. I don't care what you do on the other ones, but regarding that, we're gonna be here, man. We're gonna be here. I'm gonna try my hardest to keep up with this. Write-ups are a bit difficult just because things happen so quickly, but I will try brief ones on that in 2018. This is 2018 we're talking about. This is obviously, like all these ESPN shows, this is the last Rettolations of the year. Yeah, but we're going to stay consistent, man. We're going to stay consistent in what we feel, stay consistent in how we say, in saying how we feel, stay consistent in everything. Like, the fundamentals of the game, on the field, off the field, I'm not changing for nobody. And that's the thing, like, nah, man. I wasn't born to be in no box, so don't put me in one. And I didn't mention the tendency bringing up, like, saying, like, this and that ain't really gonna hit. Like, I think I mentioned, like, some, like, that little, it was like a little pick screen play I ran. That's not the norm. That's an outlier. Look at my games, man. Don't come up here and be off something like that, man. Cause people know. Everybody knows, man. Y'all know. If you watch, if you pay attention to the details, the fine details of the game, you understand that ain't all we do around here. So I didn't really take much stock into that mention. Like, it didn't, I kind of just like laughed at it. It was like a little joke, whatever. It was cool. But pay attention, man. I'm more than what y'all think I am. I promise you that. But yeah, on that note, we out till next week. Also, yeah, I guess there might be one more episode of this. The year-end Rettolations. We'll see though. I'll be back in the U for a little bit next week, so we'll see. If it happens, we gonna be the same way, and if it don't happen, you can expect the same me being the same way in 2018. So until then, remember, We're going to talk about it. Let's be real about it. We out.